Okay, so a video here exploring some of the options for sort of batch editing audio. Essentially for, if you've been out collecting field recordings and then you want to edit them and relabel them and export them. So let's have a look at what our options are in Live. So I'm just dragging a whole bunch of audio files which have non-meaningful labeling into a new session view window. I think it's quite convenient to edit in this window just because you've kind of got each clip as a clip as opposed to something in a timeline. You could work in the arrange view, but we'll look at this today. So if we click on these, you can see that they're not warped and that there's just a bunch of different audio there. Now the two things to really consider are two things you'd want to do are edit them, so basically topping and tailing, and then you might want to look at doing some processing to them and potentially even automation. So if the only thing that you want to do is edit the clips, so let's say I'm not interested in all of this, I just want to have, say, this little bit here. So we can just use the start and end markers to set start and end points. And if I right click, I can crop sample. And I'll just do a collect all and save. Actually, better save it first. So we'll call it batch edit test, and I might save it onto the desktop so I can get rid of it later. So we'll just do a collect and save. I just want to show you sort of what happens when we do that. Okay, cool. So this is the new session, and in samples we've got all of the imported audio, and then we've also got the cropped one that I just made. So that one's cropped but still doesn't have any meaningful labeling. So let's go in and look at what the options are. So let's say I'll do another one here, but before I crop it I'm going to rename it. So I'll just call it, actually I won't call it that, I'll just call it okay, that'll do. So we've got this one here. I'm going to crop a little chunk of that out and show you what happens there. So crop sample, you can see it here. Now if I right click and show in Finder, you now see that it's given me the labeling that I want. So this is a new audio file that has a meaningful labeling that I can use. Okay, so that's cropping the audio. Now, if I had decided I want to put some processing on all of these the same, so let's say I want to put a high pass filter, whatever, perhaps boost a bit of the high end, remove some of the low end, and any other signal processing that I could potentially put in this chain. Now, a way for us to work with this, I might just label the track something other than audio. That'll do for now. So that's field recorder. Now if I want to essentially print all of these, or print the EQ onto all of these, in other words I want to commit to that EQ curve to all of these audio files, a quick way of doing that rather than having to go through each one, and you might, if you have 100 or something, you want to save a bit of time. So let's use the freeze track function. Okay, and that's now frozen this, so and you can see the EQ settings are not available anymore. The mixer settings are, because essentially these are a pre-faded bounce, which are held in sort of a temporary location. So anyway, let's flatten that. Okay, now you'll see the EQ's disappeared, and all of these audio files now have the low end removed with a small high end boost or shelf that I've done. But you're noticing that the labeling is not very convenient. Even this one that I already labeled, if we go into show in Finder, it's now been labeled differently. Okay, so in terms of workflow, if you're not going to need to print EQ or compression or any other processing, you can just crop the files, and they'll be it'll create a new audio file with the right labeling. If you need to EQ or compress, or as I said, do any other processing, you'll want to do that first and then go through and relabel these. So I'm just going to give them a very quick labeling scenario to show you what I mean here. So to relabel, it's Command R. Okay, and 9. Cool. Now, just to clarify what's happening again, these haven't been relabeled here, okay? So relabeling your clips doesn't relabel or create new audio files. So in this scenario, you would first do that and then go through and do your editing afterwards. Okay, so I'll just do a few, I don't need to do all of them. So after processing, now I'm cropping essentially. So that'll do. I'll just do 3 of them. And as I said before, when I crop these, this is what is allowing me to create new audio files with the labeling that matches the clip. So if I show this in the Finder, I've got my new audio files 1, 2 and 3. And then all you'd need to do is potentially, to contribute these to field recording library. Just give it your name or whatever makes sense, and I could paste these in here, and these are now the edited versions of those audio files. Okay, so quick recap, you'll want to import all of your audio. If you know you're going to want to process it with EQ or any other sort of plugin, you'll want to do that first and then flatten and freeze those audio files. Then you need to go through and label them, crop them as you want, and then you can export them, or essentially all you need to do is find them, so reveal them in the Finder and then copy them or move them to wherever you want them. Alright, hopefully that's helpful.